Just because I'm now back in my uni flat doesn't mean that the next few videos were pre-filmed like a week ago. No. I read some stuff in December. It was quite good. I was quite proud of myself. I had one big final push to get as many books read in a year as I possibly could. Even though in my resolutions video I said I read 66 books, I didn't. I read 67 because I forgot about the play I read. That's another resolution I should have had. I need to get more committed to doing Goodreads properly. Knowing that I was going to be away for pretty much a month, I decided to make good use of my bookshelf the day before I left and picked up a children's book, and I read The Miserable Mill, which is the fourth in the A Series of Unfortunate Events books. I have been trying to reread this series quite slowly before the Netflix series comes out. I'm now into the books that I don't really remember that well because I had a pretty strong memory of the first three because of the film. I started on the next book in the series and I'm enjoying them so much. They are just such nice, easy reads and total page turners. I can sit down and read them in one sitting. It's amazing. For an assignment I get back in a week, I decided to do a Shakespeare adaptation, and I thought it would be useful if I reread the play that was the main inspiration for that idea, and it was Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Obviously a reread, but read in December nonetheless. I definitely enjoyed it a lot more this time round because I knew I wasn't going to be examined on it. Next, I read two poetry collections by the same author. One of them I can't find at the minute, which is slightly worrying. The World's Wife by Caroline Duffy and The Bees by Caroline Duffy. I love reading poetry collections, and I know I read them wrong because everyone always says, oh, you don't read poetry the same way you read prose. You have to read one and then reflect and come back to it. I don't. If there's a poem I really like, I will come back to it and analyse it and stuff, but I just think poetry is something that should be enjoyed, and I definitely just sit down with a poetry collection and read it cover to cover. Caroline Duffy is such a big inspiration to me. I absolutely love her poetry, and reading her poetry makes me want to be better, and after I read her poetry I always want to write more. I always get a massive creative buzz after I read. Buzz. I'm sort of trying to plan a whole video on Caroline Duffy because she's just amazing. I read The Bees by Leanne Paul. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Basically, it tells the story of a beehive and is narrated from the point of view of a bee, and it's just so good. Even though it's about bees, there were really poignant moments where you can compare the hive society to our society, and it's there are some moments in it which are just so good, so well constructed and so touching. And one scene in the book in particular is pretty heavy. Next up, I read Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I've wanted to read some Rainbow Rowell for the longest time, and I didn't find any of her books in charity shops or cheap ebook, but my boyfriend's sister got me this for Christmas and I am so glad she did. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. What was really nice was that she had read it before she gifted this copy to me, and we were able to talk about it as I was reading it and talk about it afterwards, which was really nice. This cover is terribly misleading though, because this silhouette is not what Eleanor looks like. Eleanor is specifically described as being overweight. She's described as being not the conventional high school beauty manic pixie dream girl. She's really cool, but she's also really flawed. It was really nice to see two characters that weren't so perfect, and this book made me so sad. It's so touching. I'd started to become really frustrated with love stories in YA, and this book just restored my faith in them. And the final book that I read in December was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I have a very beautiful copy from Penguin English Library, so thanks to Caboodle and Penguin for letting me have this. I think I actually finished reading this on New Year's Eve. I have quite an interesting relationship with Wuthering Heights in that I don't really enjoy reading it that much, but I really enjoy analysing it, and I think that's the same relationship that I have with all of the Bronte books I've read. It was the same with Jane Eyre. I didn't necessarily enjoy reading it that much, but the analysis afterwards was something that I really enjoyed. The one thing I really don't like about Wuthering Heights is the Yorkshire accent in it. I don't know, maybe it is really accurate, but to my experiences with people from Yorkshire, it isn't that accurate at all. It is very heavy, but That might just be my limited experience. So I think I did reasonably well in December. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. So I'm quite happy with that. Hoping for even more in January. I've got off to a really good start, so fingers crossed. Do you have any opinions on any of these books, particularly Eleanor and Park and Lalling Paul's The Bees? Because I really want to have chats about those ones. Already have 2 books down this month. Very proud of myself.